What is going on, everyone? I'm here to talk about the Bleach Renaissance because isn't it great? And for some of you, probably like, Bleach Renaissance? What do you mean the Renaissance of Bleach? Oh, you mean that Bleach came back after like a 10-year break and, things look good. No, I mean the fact that Bleach is now considered something amazing again. And for some of you, that's completely confusing because a lot of you don't even remember that Bleach for the longest time that was losing its spot in the big three. Well, technically, I don't think you lose your spot in the big three, but it feels like that. It feels like that when you see what was happening with Bleach during the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. See, for those who have short-term memories or probably just didn't know, weren't keeping up, Bleach was going downhill. And guess what? This arc, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, in the manga, this was not very well received. This was going down as one of the worst arcs in Bleach. And coming off that Execution Squad arc, I don't know, man. I mean, I love the concept of it, but man, I don't know, man. That wasn't it. That wasn't it, especially the way, we ended like the whole Iran card thing with Aizen, and it was like awesome and kind of not awesome at the same time because, Ichigo just basically just came up to God and just said, I am the sword now. And instead of this big epic battle, he just went, woo! And that was kind of at the end of Aizen. But it really wasn't because then Aizen was like, I'm still here. And then Urahara was like, about 5 hours ago, I blasted a Kido into you. And now it's kind of like working. And now you're going to be sealed. And then the whole thing with the Hogyoku was like managing everything. It was crazy. Some people were not buying into that. And that opens up a whole can of worms for the plot relevancy, which is so crazy. And that's like, that could be a whole video on its own. But yeah, if you looked at Jump magazine, Bleach was really, really phasing out. Yeah, it was getting beat hard by pretty much everything else that was out there during that time. Before, Ichigo used to be like big in front of the cover. Then he just started moving to a little bubble on the side somewhere on the page. It was crazy. Bleach just wasn't doing well. And when I was reading the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, man, I had to quit. Did you know I just came back to reading the manga like when it started airing in the anime? Because I was watching the anime again, so I was like, I might as well just finish it, just see what's going on. I quit because that arc just was not doing it. And as a wrestling head, they were doing something. When I mean Tite Kubo was doing something called hot shotting. He was just going for impact. Oh, here all of a sudden, here come the Quincy's. Quincy's are not here. What's going on? Oh my God, they're stronger than Iran cars. Isn't that like wild and out of nowhere? Oh my goodness, Izuru's now dead. Oh my God, what a shocker. Oh my goodness, the first squad's lieutenant is now dead. Oh my goodness, too bad we knew nothing about this guy. And then when you did show flashbacks with him with Yamamoto, he seemed like a really cool dude. I would have loved to know more about this character, but no, he had to die just so he could be like, his Bankai was stolen. This is what they're doing with that whoosh thing that they have. And it's like, man, you didn't build any of these characters up. I mean, Zuru kind of got built up. If you watch like a filler arc, Zuru had a pretty good like little run in a filler arc, but man, this arc was not doing it. It was just shock factor, shock factor, shock factor. Oh, Grindel's back. It was like, it wasn't making much sense at all. And people knew it. And this arc was fading. And when I was reading this, I was like, Tite Kubo doesn't want to write for Bleach anymore. He does not want to do Bleach anymore. He wants to quit. This feels like him saying, I want out of this. I thought I ended this during the Iran Car arc, but freaking Jump Magazine won't let me go. And if you ever read the manga series or ever watched the anime Bakuman, then yeah, you'll know that some of these studios would do that and they will keep you in place. Like, this is a hit. You got to get going. But it really felt like Tite Kubo really wanted out of the game of Bleach. I also heard there was some kind of like medical issue, health issue things. I'm not going to speculate on that. I don't know too much about it. It just feels like his heart wasn't in it. And he just said, I want to write something and go out with a bang. There's now a Zero Squad. Yep, there's a Zero Squad now. That's a thing that's happening now. This was not good. But guess what happened? This arc that was regarded as one of the worst arcs in Bleach history was actually now loved. And you know why? Because time made the heart grow fonder. I quit reading Bleach. And then when the series came back, I was like, I didn't want to watch it anymore. I already quit. I don't like this arc. And I started watching it and I was like, I miss these characters. I miss this world. I miss this power scaling. I miss the abilities. I miss the music. There was so much of this that I was missing. And I was like, it's back now. This is something I loved and now it's back. I hated the final arc reading into it. I even quit. But now I'm like, it's back. And I'm enjoying myself. And I think that time off of Bleach really saved it. And I know there's going to be people out there who are going to swear that Bleach was always hot. Bleach was always doing well. Those people have not been paying attention to history. Bleach was on the precipice of a downward spiral. It was really, 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 really bad, people. But guess what? This made people want to, like, appreciate Bleach again. There's so many people out there, and it's always crazy too how people will say, I've been waiting for 10 years to know the end of what was happening in this series that I love. It's like, 10 years? You didn't bother to read the manga? You were holding out for 10 years just to know what happened at the end of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc? That's, you wild for that. It's crazy how many people just never bothered to read Bleach after it had a decade break. Like, you didn't even know it was coming back. It's not like you said, we'll be back in 10 years. And you're like, I can hold off for 10 years. Some people just never went back to it. I find it crazy for people to be like, I'm a crazy, like, Bleach fan, but I'm not even going to finish this story because the anime stopped airing. So I'm just going to leave that alone. If you're one of those people, let me know what your mindset was. Did you think this was actually going to come out? You just said, I'm just not reading the manga. Because I've seen so many reactors who are like, man, we're finally going to get the end of the story. It's like, you're a fan and you never read the manga. Like, you didn't even bother to finish it. Just so you could say you finished Bleach, you never knew it was coming back. That's a whole different conversation though, but Bleach was going downhill and it came back and people appreciated it. And I think Studio Period did a lot of great things with the resurgence of Bleach, touching on things that we never actually got to see in the series. For example, the Squad Zero fight, so much more extended in the actual anime. In the manga, they just got taken out. That was it. Remember that whole like Bankai thing with Hot Lady with the, with the umbrella? Yeah, that wasn't even in the manga. Uryu's Volsningen form? That wasn't even in the manga. In the manga, Uryu. You want to know the only thing Uryu actually ever did in this arc? Remember the final episode of Part 3, 1,000-Year Blood War? And he's like, Ichigo and everybody else, you guys go get Yuhaba and I'll handle this guy over here. Man, why can I not remember his name? Blonde dude with the sword. Remember that? That's pretty much all Uryu did, and then that fight afterwards. But he never had that fight with Ichigo. He never had that fight with Renji. Actually, he had 2 fights with Ichigo. They actually expanded on things in this arc, and I think it was for the best. I mean, some things, of course, you can't, help but say, man, Tite Kubo really just wrote some random shit that kind of I wish he didn't write. For example, Unohana all of a sudden is like the first Kenpachi, and now she has to die. She became one of those badass women in the entire series, and they just took her away from me. Not to mention, she's freaking hot as hell. My goodness, I love her hair down and everything. I'm not doing this right now. I'm not afraid to be thirsty, especially when for somebody like Unohana, but that's not what this video is about right now. But I'm like, you really just took that baddie away from us. For what? Because there could only be one Kenpachi? That makes no sense. She was the first Kenpachi. There was a Kenpachi after her while she was still alive. There was a Kenpachi after that one when she was still alive. Then now there's this current Kenpachi and she was still alive. There was never an instance where there was ever one Kenpachi. So that whole thing of there could only be one Kenpachi made no sense at all. And that's one of the things that Tite Kubo just wrote. And you're like, bro, this don't even make sense. I mean, that makes less sense than Mayuri just, randomly putting some type of liquid in some Iran car that if they splashed on zombies, he could then take control of the zombies. That's the part of the manga that I quit. When Tite Kubo didn't know how to actually write a smart character and thought he's a genius and just made that into a Deus Ex Machina to do anything. Like, bro, why does he have that? That makes zero sense. And some people are like, well, he's smart. He's so smart. He had a liquid inside of the Iran cars that if they spill on zombies, he could take control of them. And he had no previous, mind you, saying this again, no previous information that Gigi can make zombies. I don't know. Tite Kubo's writing sometimes just be crazy like that. But like I said, it was that time period, and it felt like he really just did not care. He just wanted shock factor. He just wanted to do things just to do things. I mean, even like Ukitake. We knew nothing about this guy. Remember in the whole execution arc, and Genjo was like, be careful, Ukitake. For what? He didn't do nothing. He wasn't even a bad guy. He didn't even betray him or anything. All he did was just go to Shinsu and be like, bro, I'm a hand. And that was it. That's all we got from the guy. And then he just clocked out. And it's like, we got nothing. And this is the big problem with Bleach in general, that we get a lot of nothing. But then Tite Kubo ends and we're supposed to have these feelings. I'm like, man, the only thing I feel is I really would have loved to know more about Ukitake before you just made him into a hand guy. And then he just and now he's gone. I would have loved to know more about the first lieutenant before you just took him out. It's crazy. It's crazy. But you know what? I think there's some things they just can't fix. Studio Period just can't fix certain things because Tite Kubo just didn't, give character development for a lot of characters. But adding things, for example, like the Volstinger form for Volstendage. I knew how to say it perfect. I think that's what it is. Volstendage for Uryu. Perfect. It's so cool because why have we never seen his? He was the first character to ever really do it when he fought Mayuri, and this is a different version of it now that he's become a Stern Ritter, and we never got to see it. That is so freaking crazy. And I hope they add more going into the Calamity, because I know how this is supposed to end in the manga, but Studio Period has been surprising me over and over and over and over again. And I have a feeling we might get some crazy things going into this that are not in the manga, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I'm just so happy. Bleach is back. After I hated it for so long, I loved it, and then it disappointed me. And yeah, I said hate. Hate's the wrong word. Disappointment. And again, there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna swear that Bleach was always on the top. Bleach was always good. Bleach wasn't always good. You just are living in a fantasy world that was developed by I don't know what, by your wantings of Bleach to actually be good. It's crazy. And you might say, you don't know it. You're not a real Bleach fan. Not a real Bleach fan. I got an actual freaking Zangetsu. Like, it's freaking huge. Like, I can't even fit it on the screen. I have an actual Zangetsu. I have a Tensei Zangetsu. I'm not putting that on here because I can't even fit it on camera. I even got a Sode no Shuriyuki. I have Yumi Chika's sword, and it actually has the function. Who the hell has Yumi Chika's sword? You probably don't even know who Yumi Chika is right now, so you're probably searching up his name right now. My goodness, people. I'm a huge Bleach fan, and Bleach disappointed me for so long. But you know what? Bleach is back. I'm loving the Renaissance. It's so great. This time off is exactly what Bleach needed. No filler bull crap. No bad animation or that spotty here and there. Bleach coming back after so long has allowed us to appreciate it so much more. The animation is killer. The soundtrack is amazing. They even remixing things that we love, so we could be like, man, I remember this. There's a lot of things they can't fix with a lot of Tite Kubo's writing, but Studio Period overall has been doing amazing with this series, and I'm hoping Bleach continues. I do hope that we eventually get the Hell arc. I mean, heck, I hope we get Burn the Witch. I've been dying to see like a full series of Burn the Witch as well. I hope Tite Kubo really just goes and works on that. Man, it feels nice to have something I used to love back. It's like having a fallout with a friend, and then you just like, and then you get like you make up again. You're like, man, we were so cool together, man. This was awesome when we used to hang out. It feels like that way again, and that's how it feels with me with Bleach. Something that I couldn't continue to read because it was so absolutely horrible, and then I decided to give the series a chance again when it came back on with this nice fresh animation, reminding me of all the characters. Seeing a Getsuga Tensho again, oh, it's so cool. Hearing Bankai was amazing. Seeing Orihime, it was amazing, and it got me back. It got me back. And I'm really happy for it, and I hope we get to see more Bleach. But that's all I got for you guys. You guys could go research this for yourself on how Bleach was kind of going down here, because like I said, a lot of people will be in denial about that. Bleach was. It really was. But it's back, and I love that. So yeah, until next time, people, peace out.